house with miles of hobby.
Welcome to Pat and Ken at the Holidays, the 2014 edition. My name is Patrick McDonald, HollywoodChicago.com, and the Chicago Film Tour. Ken?
And I don't know how you talk me into this every year. But anyway, I'm Ken Candela, the movie wag.
Ken, this segment is called Surreal Christmas.
Surreally, Pat?
Surreally, Ken. And yes, I never get tired of that joke. And this year, we decided to reach back in the archives a bit. Now, this is a film that has been in public domain for years.
And this was something that you saw. Where did you find this film?
Well, I had it in my collection. I don't know if someone gave me a gift one year.
The Jimmy Durante collection?
It was in under Durante. Ah-cha-cha. Title on my case, The Christmas Wish.
Right.
Now, if you do some research, you find out the movie is actually called The Great Rupert. So, Ken, why don't you give us a scenario?
Well, The Great Rupert is about a little squirrel with lots of charm who accidentally helps two families at Christmas. And basically what Rupert is he's a dancing squirrel.
Yes.
A performer. He's a thespian.
For some reason, though, they put him in a Scottish tartan, and he does a little...
Well, and like I said, the guy has the squirrel, and he's holding it in a death grip, and then when he puts it down on the table, they obviously go to like a stop-action animation.
And that is George Pal, the great, the animator, the stop-motion animator.
Right. He did a lot of films back in the 50s and 60s.
I can't even think of another example of something he's done.
I can't either.
All right, well, it doesn't matter, but...
he's no pal of mine. So anyway, the owner trainer decides that they really can't. They're not going to. Show business is not for them anymore. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to go. So he's going to set Rupert free.
Yeah, and he does.
And he set Rupert free in a park area. I think he lets him go. He takes his kilt off of him and his hat. He releases him naked into the wild. And I don't think this thing had ever been in the wild because it's obvious. Because all of a sudden, he's with other squirrels and animals and people, and he's just out of his mind. He's like, I can't take this.
Go on. Oh, to be sure. It's a silly outfit. There you are. I would have laughed at you. Yes, I know. Now go on. Yes, I know you don't want to. Go on.
Well, and actually, as you're explaining it, the plot is a little overly complex. So suddenly we have the Durante family, and I don't recall their last name. But
I think it was Abandola.
I knew it was something
like
Durante-esque.
And in India, we gave a performance the audience will never forget. Why? Because they were elephants. Please, a little respect for that joke that's older than you.
And him and his family were circus performers.
Yes.
They were like the human pyramid. Okay, it was him, his wife, and his really hot daughter.
His comely daughter.
Played by Terry Moore.
Yes.
They come to this boarding house, and with no money and no prospects of circus employment.
Yes.
But they said, we gotta live somewhere.
But luckily there's a hoardy boy to let them live.
You want to rent this place?
Well, we might work something out if you don't drag lawyers into this.
Well, you better speak to my father about it. He's right next door. Oh, on second thought, I can handle this myself. Come in.
And let's get back to Rupert. Actually left the park, and he goes back into the house where him and his previous owner lived.
Yes.
And he kind of goes up in the rafters.
Yes.
And there's a little hole, and he kind of shoots in there, and he's going to just stay there.
So the landlord, his gold mine has come in.
Right.
This is where the Christmas angle comes in.
And Jimmy Durante's wife is sitting in the room. Remember, there's a broken skylight or something.
Yes.
And she makes a wish. She makes a wish to God. She says a prayer.
Yes.
And she's basically, looking on high and asking God to help them. We need new shoes for our daughter. Their daughter, for some reason, Rosalinda.
I think she needed a new bullet bra is what she needed.
And as the landlord is shoving the money into the hole, Rupert, the squirrel, is taking the money and throwing it through the broken skylight. So money is coming down from what she believes to be heaven.
Now, nothing can beat the animated sequence of him doing the tartan dance. But secondly, him shoveling the money out.
Absolutely, every
funny.
bill at a time.
But suddenly a fire breaks out.
Well, what happens too is Jimmy Durante, he's doing something with a cigarette, and he flicks it up, and just as he flicks it up, Rupert grabs the cigarette.
Oh.
And grabs the cigarette, as squirrels will do if you throw them a cigarette, they'll grab it and run with it, and basically starts a fire in the building where the landlord lives and the Durante family lives, and the place is burnt to the ground because the landlord basically says, I had put all this money in there, and it's all burned up. Well, they never really copped to the fact that they've been taking the money.
Right.
Okay?
Well, I don't think... Did they put 2 and 2 together?
I don't think the landlord ever put 2 and 2 together.
Right.
The money was...
I know the landlord didn't, but did they realize that?
Yes, they did.
Oh, wow.
But they didn't say anything.
They didn't really do anything.
Because
they rebuilt the house.
I love the excitement of Christmas. I'll never forget one Christmas Eve when I was a kid. I hung my stocking up on a mantle, went to bed, and when I woke up the next morning, what do you think I found in my stocking? My father's foot.
Right.
He talks about, we're going to miss the Jimmy Durante show. Cha-cha. So, and how did Terry Moore come from that gene pool, quite frankly?
When you see the parents, there's no similarities whatsoever. Right.
That looks exactly.
I mean, he goes back to the 30s, Jimmy Durante.
Oh my
He had
God.
a long career.
A long career.
I mean, even as a recording artist, he was very popular in records. And you ask yourself, could someone today? You don't have that kind of comedians anymore.
Right, you don't have that kind of staying power either.
No.
So your Christmas bell rating on the Magic Rupert.
Well,
sir.
you may think I'm nuts, Pat. Squirrel. Nuts.
Remember.
Anyway, I would give Rupert. I would give it. It was a nice story.
Yes.
It was a little corny, but certainly not as surreally bad as some of the movies we've seen in the past. I would give it maybe. I would give it maybe 2.5
bells.
2.5 bells.
All right.
I mean, it had a very sweet story. The squirrel. I mean, the squirrel was almost incidental in some ways.
Well, I did like the strangeness of it, and I'm going to go a half better. I'm going to give it 3 out of 4 bells, just because, it really didn't have much to do with Christmas.
It left you warm and fuzzy.
It did.
Or furry.
And it was sort of, it just developed into It's a Wonderful Life
Pretty
again.
much,
Yes, all right.
So that's the Great Rupert, our surreal observations for this year.
Very good.
Well, in our next holiday segment, Pat, we'll be taking a look at our classic holiday offering for this year. It's the 1951 Bob Hope classic,
Yes.
The Lemon Drop Kid.
That's wild.
That's next on Pat and Ken at the Holidays.